I Shalom want to begin this lesson by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, Wahar Rakah Kwadash, which in the ancient Hebrew tongue would be the correct names of the Heavenly Father, His beloved Son, and the Holy Spirit. I also would like to give double honors to my teachers, the head apostles and elders, the great millstone. Much due honors and respect to the sincere brethren out there that's also laboring in His work. And as always, I want to say Shalom to the believers, the Akim as well as the Aquab, which will be you brothers along with the sisters that subscribe to this truth as well. So yeah, this lesson right here is going to be pretty much an effort to comfort, those amongst you brethren out there, as well as you sisters alike, and any of you believers who understand the times and seasons that we're in, and the magnitude of this moment and the sense of urgency, if you will, that comes along with it, which pursuant to the book of Revelation, the 12th chapter, in the 12th verse, it tells us how this devil, the so-called white man, is about to come down with great wrath. And if you have a feel for prophecy, and somewhat understand the pulse of the planet Earth right now, you can see clearly that this man is strategically placing the pieces in play to come after Jake. There are certain laws and legislations this man has signed off on, pretty much waging war against the nation of Israel, all right? And understanding these things, and especially understanding, this devil, all right, how his lust for the blood of Israel is shown through his bloodthirsty, diabolical plans, which when you take a glimpse into this man's history is riddled with bloodshed and violence, man. Okay, this man in his pursuit to power in the wake left nothing but blood and carnage, man. All right? And knowing that, naturally, you can be overcome with fear. It can be overwhelming. And we would be irresponsible, if you will, to only push out that aspect, the vibration of all hell is about to break loose, which it is approaching, or the so-called white man is going to come down with great wrath, which he is, But there's a balance, man. All right? Just like the Lord promised destruction, He also promised deliverance. All right? And the Lord also promised that this man would not fulfill his desire. All right? This man would not crown his achieving goal of the New World Order a success, man. Okay? In fact, the Lord will frustrate the plans of this devil, man. And that's going to be all done in effort to preserve the elect. See that? So the scriptures tell you to comfort one another with these words. In fact, if you're paying attention right now, this man is in straits. You see? Case in point, when you consider this whole coronavirus thing, it was all set up in effort, to bring about a certain swarm of activity, a certain panic on the planet Earth, a certain chaos, if you will, to bring about order, all right? Which it was an effort to mobilize the military. You got to remember, when Trump addressed the nation concerning this coronavirus thing, which we understand it was all set up, it was nothing more than a form of desperation, all right, by the so-called white man, and through his media, which, by the way, when you go into that word media, it takes you back to the word medium, which translates to witchcraft. So the media is nothing more than the so-called white man waving that wand over the masses of the people, all right? So through his media, he pushed out this whole coronavirus scare, but it was all an effort, should I say, to mobilize the military. Again, you remember this guy Trump, when he addressed the nation, he said in order to, insert these different vaccines, he would have to disperse 1 million troops, man, okay? But now, when you take a step back, you see that coronavirus plan fizzled out. You don't even hear about this guy, Bill Gates, anymore, man. See that? So pretty much these devils, they scrapped that plan and they moved on to the next phase, all right? Which, again, through the media and this guy, George Floyd, all right? Which it was a different plan, but the same results. And that was what? To mobilize the military. So we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. Now you might say, well, what, mobilizing the military have to do with anything? Well, guess what? Martial law will be the bridge to this new world order. You got to remember, this man and his blessing was the sword, man. He's not going to sit down and diplomatically work nothing out. He's not going to present a case for his new world order diplomatically, man. Instinctively, he's going to lean towards his blessing, and that's the sword, all right? So this military presence will be the bridge to this new world order naturally, man. Why? Because that's his blessing. See that? But again, Yahweh Shem Shah is going to frustrate the plans of these devils. And we witnessed that, man. You know, with the whole coronavirus thing. See? Which have somewhat fizzled out. Now, what's the new news, the big news right now? The George Floyd thing, man. See? Which, again, the media is pushing that. You got these crisis actors being dispersed throughout these different cities that's inciting these riots, you know? And it's all an effort to bring about a certain level of chaos so they can bring that order, which is ultimately the New World Order. And again, the bridge to that New World Order is mobilizing the military, see? Which is pretty much the sword, that blessing that was given to Esau. But we are not to fret. Why? Because we understand that Yahweh Shema Shah is not going to allow this man to have his way with us. And the testament of that is the fact that the Lord is now beginning to frustrate the plans of these devils, which brings me to the book of Job, the 20th chapter, and starting at the 18th verse. It says, that which he laboreth for shall he restore, meaning what? All these different wicked counsels and secret means and underhanded dealings will come to naught. You know, this man have exhausted a lot of time, money, resources, and energy into keeping the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American oppressed. See? And pretty much to seize control of the planet Earth, the resources of the planet Earth, the gold, the diamonds, the oil, all right, lands. See? Well, guess what? He's going to have to restore that. It says, and shall not swallow it down according to his substance shall the restitution be. Yeah, you got Jake out there desiring some form of restitution. Well, according to his substance, which is the world, all right, pursuant to the book of Job, the 9th chapter and the 24th verse, that's going to be the restitution, meaning everything that this man have, he's going to lose it, okay, including his land, all right? It says, and he shall not rejoice therein because he have oppressed, see, and have forsaken the poor, because he have violently taken away an house which he buildeth not. And this is dealing with everything Esau possessed. You know, everything this man had from his heritage that he claimed, you know, the resources, once again, that he have seized control of, all right, these different nationalities that he aligned himself with. Case in point, you know, associate himself with being the Jews, you know, those Amalekites over there in our land. All right, this man have violently taken away that. And even America, you know, this man didn't diplomatically come over here and settle in the Americas, man. All right, America was violently taken. See, again it says, because he have violently taken away an house which he buildeth not. See, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. Yeah, in his belly symbolizes his mind, which translates to these secret meetings. You know, when these devils get together and they meet quietly and secretly, man, there's a lot of turmoil. You know, they're trying to figure out how to silence this word. You know, how could they cap or suppress and muzzle this truth from going out? You know, what we're going to do about these prophets out here on the streets teaching, you know, this truth, identifying and targeting us, which this devil, he put a lot of energy into suppressing who he is, man. That's why you don't hear that word Edom. You know, you never heard the idea of Edomites until the Lord raised up the prophets, starting with the apostles, man. Okay, when you consider these different movies dedicated to the Bible, you know, the Ten Commandments, Moses, you know, stories about our Lord Yahweh Shai, you know, King David, right? Even when you consider these different documentaries you might catch on the History Channel, you know, where it goes into the Bible and the different patriots, the different characters, if you will, of the Bible, you never hear a peep about Esau, man. See that? And that was a strategic move. See? So now we're in a time where this man is being exposed. That proverbial light is being shined on. And this is causing a lot of turmoil, you know, within these devils. And in particular, these elites. See, again, it says, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. Let's read this again. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. And what has this man desired? To crown his enterprise a success, which is the New World Order, man. See that? So this is comforting right here, knowing that the Lord is not going to allow this devil to carry out his bloodthirsty, diabolical plan, man. See? Verse 21, there shall none of his meat be left, therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Let's read this again. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. And what's the fullness of his sufficiency? You know, at the climax, if you will, at the peak of this man's run. Okay? When this man came into power in the form of the Greeks, that was the beginning, if you will. All right? Then you go into the Roman Empire, which would be considered the midst of this man's run and his reign of terror. But right here, in this current system, this beast system, this would be the fullness of his sufficiency. See? In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. And that word straits translates to difficulty, man, a level of difficulty. See? And we witnessing that. That's why you see this man scrambling, man. You know, coming up with all these different narratives, the coronavirus scare. You know, now you got the George Floyd thing. And there's plenty of videos out there which have surfaced showing that you got cops inciting the riots. You know, you got off-duty cops that's in the midst of these protesters, man. You know, you had the one video that surfaced where you had this mysterious guy who bust out all the windows. I believe it was a CVS, you know, and he disappeared into the shadows. And he pretty much set off the riot, man. See that? So that's these devils, you know, out of desperation trying to create a form of chaos so they can bring in the order, which again would be his military. See that? Again, it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. Now, this wicked right here, matter of fact, let's look up this word. Because you might think this wicked right here is dealing with Esau. When the scriptures say every hand of the wicked shall be upon him, that's actually dealing with, first and foremost, Israel. Meaning, we're going to find this man out. We're going to come to a point, we're going to understand this man has been ripping you off and defrauding you. And this is going to spill over to really everybody out there who this devil has defrauded. See, so when you go into this definition right here, the Hebrew word would be amal, and it says laborer. See, laborer, sufferer, wretched one. So that word wicked right here in Job, the 20th chapter and the 22nd verse, in this context, is first and foremost dealing with Israel, the poor, all right? And the fact that we're going to find out that this man has been defrauding us. You know what? Let's further prove that real quick. Right here in the book of James. What's that? The book of James. The 5th chapter. And starting in the first verse, it says, go to now, ye rich men. And this is dealing with the elites, these international bankers, man. See? It says, go to now, ye rich man, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you. See? And shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days, which that's the time we're in now. It says, behold, the hire of the laborers, see? Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud. See that? Crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabbath oath. All right? So, again, when it says, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields and pretty much cried out against you defrauding them, that's what we read right here in the book of Job. See? Let's get it again. This is Job, the 20th chapter, And again, the 22nd verse, it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, and every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And again, when you go into the definition for that word wicked, right here in this precept, it says laborer, see, laborer, sufferer, wretched one. So we just read in the book of James how the laborers which have reaped down your fields are going to begin to crowd against you, man, you know, and the fact that you ripped them off and defrauded them. So that's the time we're in. We're in the time where this man has been exposed on all sides, man. Pretty much the walls is closing in on this devil. And he's being forced to react. See? So when you go back here to the book of Job, the 20th chapter, and again the 22nd verse, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, meaning a level of difficulty, all right? In the fullness of his sufficiency, see? Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him when he is about to fill his belly, see? Meaning when he is about to crown his enterprise a success, see? When he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, see? And shall rain it upon him while he is eating. Meaning this man is not going to fulfill his bloodthirsty plots and schemes, man. All right? The Lord is going to pretty much flip the damn chessboard over on this devil, man. Okay? He's going to flip the table on him while he's in the midst of looking to fill his belly. Now, real quick, let's look up the definition for this word fill right here. All right? The Hebrew word there would be malah, right? It says to fill, before, to be full, fullness, abundance. It says to be full, to be accomplished. See, to be accomplished. So before this man, you know, accomplished what he have set out to do, the Lord is going to rain his fury upon him, man. See? Matter of fact, let's click on definition for this word accomplish real quick. It says achieve or complete successfully. So this man is not going to achieve his goals, neither complete the mission that he set out to complete, man, successfully. And guess what? That's comfort right there. Knowing that the Lord is not going to allow this man to have his way. You know, when you go back into history, it was his time. See? The Lord was actually with this devil, man. It was all an effort to fulfill prophecy. You know, when this man chased us out of Jerusalem, you know, only to later gather us from the interiors of Western Africa and bring us over as cargo. You know, when this man damn near committed genocide against the natives, you know, and even these different proxy wars, different skirmishes that have broken out throughout the years. You know, this man has triumphed. You know, he lost, you know, he had his little scars, his nicks and bruises along the way, but he was able to triumph, you know. It was all an effort to fulfill prophecy because the Lord was with this devil coming into power. But now we're in a time where the Lord is against him. And it tells you that in the book of, matter of fact, let me grab that real quick. This is out of the book of Ezekiel, the 35th chapter. In the first verse, it says, moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir. See, and Mount Seir is symbolic to the so-called white man. Wherever he dwelled, that would be Mount Seir. America is Mount Seir, okay? It says, son of man, set thy face against, see, Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, thus saith the Lord power, behold, O Mount Seir, O Esau, you so-called white people, I am against thee. See, so now we're in a time where the Lord is against you, man. That was a time where the Lord was with these devils coming into power. And you can read about that in Romans, the 13th chapter. You know, be subject unto the power, because every power is ordained by Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Matter of fact, let me get another quick precept to prove that the Lord was with these devils coming into power. And that's why they was able to have their way with us, man. But we're in a time now where the Lord is against you. See? And there's comfort in that, all right? This is Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, the 47th chapter, And let me see. All right, I start at the 10th verse. It says, "For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me, thy wisdom and thy knowledge, all right, it have perverted thee," meaning your science. Case in point, you came up with the Big Bang Theory, man. That was you in a roundabout way dismissing the idea of there being a power higher than you, man. Let's show you the pride of these devils. See, again, it says, "Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, which is your science, it have perverted thee, and thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me." So you didn't acknowledge the fact that it was Yahweh Shema Shah that brought you into power. See that? Matter of fact, let me grab some real quick. In the book of Psalms, the 75th chapter, and starting at the 6th verse, it says, "For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south, but the Most High is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another." See that? So in this case, the Lord put down Israel. We was abased, and he set up you devils, man. So the Lord is to receive the glory, for you coming into power, man. Yet you devils boast in yourself. Matter of fact, let's further prove this before we go back. It's the book of Isaiah, the 10th chapter and the 15th verse. It says, "Shall the axe boast itself?" See, "Shall the axe boast itself against him that heweth therewith?" And the axe right here is symbolic to Esau, man. The sword. "And indeed he has boasted himself against the one that heweth therewith." Meaning the axe is rendered useless, man, without someone picking it up and swinging it. So it's Yahweh Shema Shah who have given you your power. See that? Again, it says, "Shall the axe boast itself against him that heweth therewith? Or shall the saw magnify itself against him that shaketh it, as if the rod should shake itself against them that lift it up?" Yeah, so the Lord lift you up, And all these are metaphors for Esau, the so-called white man. "Or as if the staff should lift up itself as if it were no wood." So pretty much you're nothing, man. The Lord gave you your power. See? And that's why, again, when you read right here in Isaiah, the 47th chapter, and starting at the 10th verse again, it says, "For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness." See? "Thou hast said, none seeth me, thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it have perverted thee," your science, your philosophy. You actually believe in that, man. It says, "And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me." So you don't acknowledge Yahweh Shema Shah as being the one, that lifted you up and gave you your power. See? Verse 11, "Therefore shall evil come upon thee, see, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee." And that's ultimately dealing with those missiles, man. See? That's why we read in Job, the 20th chapter, in the fullness of this man's sufficiency, when he's about to fill his belly, the fury of the Lord shall rain down upon him. See? It says, "And mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries." Yeah, and again, the media falls under that category, man. Their enchantments and their multitude of sorceries is in the form of their media. They can sell a certain image to you, man, and it actually affects your outlook. All right? It says, "Wherein thou hast labored," see, "wherein thou hast labored from thy youth, if so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail." And we know that they're not going to prevail. This is the Lord being somewhat facetious, if you will, sarcastic, man. All right? Because according to the prophecies, you devil is not going to prevail. See? Verse 13, it says, "Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels." Let's read this again. "Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels." Yeah, these different meetings, where these devils come together and strategize on how to further their agenda, which consists of the overthrow of your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. See that? Now these devils are wearied. And that's what Revelation, the 12th chapter and the 12th verse is going to come into play. Where the scriptures tell you how this man is going to come down with great wrath because he knoweth that he have but a short time. Why? Because his plans are being frustrated, man. See? And they're pretty much weary in their counsels. They are wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. See, so the Lord Yahweh Shai is going to overthrow this devil in the midst of him attempting to fill his belly. See that? So again, although we understand this devil is preparing to come down with great wrath and one last desperate plea, if you will, to try to somehow retain his rulership, we also understand, according to prophecy, that the Lord will begin to frustrate this man's plans. And it's going to be all done in effort to preserve his elect, which brings me to the book of Psalms, the 37th chapter, and starting at the first verse. It says, fret not thyself because of evildoers. Yeah, and this is pretty much a pep talk from Yahweh Shem Yahweh, encouraging us not to worry, man. Again, it says, fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass. Let's read this again. It says, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass. And what's heavy about this text is that it applies to this very moment. When you consider when this was written, which this was a Psalm of David right here, the Edomites wasn't even in power. So this proves that King David was a prophet as well as a king, and he was pretty much foreshadowing the fall of Esau, all right? Which, again, at the time of King David writing this, in the spirit, the Edomites wasn't even in power, which the beginning of that reign of terror started with Alexander the Greeks. In the Greek Empire, the midst of that run would be the Roman Empire, and the end of this man's rulership is right here in this current system, the beast system, all right, the EU, the NATO, this conglomerate of Edomite nations, gathered together to govern over the planet Earth. So that shows you how powerful the scriptures are, man. It's speaking concerning the time we're in now. And certainly, time is not on this man's side. This man is against the clock. Again, that's why the scriptures say, for they shall soon, see, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass. Yes, so the Lord said, fret not because of these devils, man, and whatever diabolical plot and schemes they have in the works to come up against us, man. Why? Again, it says, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. And when something wither, it's a process. If you cut a limb off a tree, well, the first day, that limb still looks alive, man. But through a process of time, through duration of time, you see that branch begins to wither, all right, and die. So that's the same with the so-called white man and his rulership, see? It says, trust in the Lord and do good, see? So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Yeah, and that's dealing with this understanding, this truth. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. And what's our desire? First and foremost, to receive mercy, because without mercy, you don't qualify for the perks, if you will, that come along with the kingdom. See? But also the desire of our heart is to see the fall of our enemies, man. That's going to be a luxury. See that? That's going to be an honor that the Lord is going to grant us, man, to see the fall of this devil. Our ancestors, they longed to see the day when the so-called white man fell out of power, man, as well as these other nations, man. Furthermore, the trees, the animals, man, they long to see the day when the so-called white man is taken out of power. See that? So again, it says, delight thyself also. It says, delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. See? Commit thy way unto the Lord. Trust also in him. And again, you trust in the Lord by trusting in his doctrine, man. when it's presented in its purest form. See? Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Bring what to pass? Bring what to pass? The destruction of the so-called white man. See? It says, and he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. All right, that's why you got these devils. They present this doomsday clock where the hands is slowly approaching noon or 12 o'clock. That's spiritual, man. All right, that's symbolic to the destruction, the judgment prepared by Yahweh Shem Yahushua to befall on you devils. See? It says, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself. See? Fret not thyself. That's the scriptures again, reiterating, the idea of being encouraged. All right? Not being overwhelmed with this devil might do to you, man. No, trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Again, it says, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself, see, because of him that prospereth in his way, that's dealing with the so-called white man, and primarily these bankers, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. You see that? So the Lord said, fret not thyself because of this devil, and the wicked man that bring devices, these wicked devices to pass. And that's going into his plans, his schemes to overthrow Jake. And right now we witnessing this man wage war on the children of Israel. But guess what? The Lord told us not to fret, not to worry, man. And this is a necessary evil, if you will. These things have to happen, all right? Nevertheless, Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to deliver his elect. So, yeah, I just want to touch on that. Lord willing, it was edifying. Till the next time I say shalom.